I grew up, I lived in, was born in Atlanta and lived in Atlanta till 7.5, and then moved outside of Memphis. It's like a suburb of Memphis, I guess, Bartlett. I lived there for a year, a little over a year, and then moved to this road on a tobacco field. They built these houses, and the cornfield, tobacco field, whatever. I lived there for a year, then moved. Then that's when I started moving every year, and sometimes a couple times go back, live with my grandmother, or my dad, or so it was like constantly moving. But sometimes when I move in with my dad, he was always living in apartments and stuff, so it was always around Atlanta. So Atlanta's always been sort of like a, some sort of like, where I can remember always coming back to that place. But there's all different places in North Carolina, and so yeah, but never outside, never more north, and never anywhere uber urban except for Atlanta. So my dad and my stepdad and my mom were all friends before my sister and I were born. My dad and stepdad were in my stepdad and dad were in bands, different bands. Everybody was in a band. If you weren't in Vietnam, in the South, if you had enough money to get to San Francisco, or enough, money, I guess, or something to get to New York or wherever. But so a lot of people from the South would go to Atlanta. And so they were all playing music together. So I kind of grew up with, like my mom was into like Ziggy. She was called Ziggy until, I guess around 15 when I left. She was called Ziggy always. And then my dad was into, he was into more like gospel, that was more of his roots, church. And so he was more into like soul and yeah. And my stepdad was more into like psychedelic stuff, more like strictly rock and roll stuff. So it was always, there was always, we were always going to parties, see bands, you know what I mean? Like, keggers and the, the bikes and the, Charlie Daniels, and the Allman Brothers. It was all very, Atlanta, like bands and people and stuff. And there was also like the radio, and we are family, you had all this disco stuff on the radio, and so there was always a lot of music all the time. And it, as I got older, obviously music became more and more accessible. MTV came on when I was maybe 5th grade or something, and so then that's even more music, and whatever. And all that was fun. And then when I found something serious happened, when I found the Buddy Holly, the first Rolling Stones record. There's other records, but Otis Redding and Billie Holiday, my dad's thing, and played those. Something happened then. And but I never really, I'd always sing those songs, but I never, different schools I go to, I never met anybody who ever, it wasn't on the radio or whatever. You know what I mean? Like there were other things. There was like, cool like punk rock stuff that was really, really like, assertive and direct and powerful stuff. And then I saw Bob Dylan when I was 15. And then, just music. Everybody has had so much music in their life. I think my face must be so red.
Lived in bars and danced on tables, hotel streets and ships that sail, barks and fly with aeroplanes in the air, swing with sharp, sitting in the trucks, the marching wheelchairs. Open the blankets and give them some air. Swords and arches, bones and cement, the light in the dark of the innocent of men. We know your house so very well. We wake you once, we've walked up all your
In bars being written in Atlanta, a lot of friends that have kind of gone the wrong path and you know, different friends like artists, musicians, painters, different kinds of friends that are like creative and stuff, like allies, like your allies in your life, your friends. And sometimes they, you know, whoops, they make the wrong turn, or they, you know, mess up. And they, but like even historical like writers and artists and people that kind of don't have a, it's almost a little bit a religious song too, Lived in Bars, because it's like this sort of like, okay, we're still getting through, you know, we're still like, you know, trying to make sense of, you know, everything that's wrong and everything that's beautiful. It's like we're, yeah, it's like going to heaven, you know. Also another thing about where, you know, history of growing up, whatever, you know, the religion, you know, you learn at a very young age, or I did, you know, that, you know, 2 plus 2 is 4, God and Satan, and you know, you learn like really, I don't know how it is for anybody else, wherever they grew up or whatever, but that song is about like, you know, just getting by, and then, but it doesn't really matter because we've all, everyone has, in the history of the world, you know, suffers and gets through things, and, you know, there's that thing of like, you know, your house, we know your house so well, you know, we're going to walk up all those stairs and we're going to get in there, we're going to be, you know, everything's going to be great. That's what that's about. And that's, yeah, it being written in the South is because of that, I guess. The Greatest and Lived in Bars were written at my house in Atlanta on the piano one afternoon, and there's actually a third song that I didn't record that is kind of like, they're kind of like a piece together, the 3, and then but I didn't record the third one. The Greatest is, I guess, kind of about the working man or whatever, the thing about, you know, where my history of my family or whatever, coming from all these people that have, you know, been, whatever, families in the South. Great-grandmother, grandmother, great-great-grandfather, all that. Poor, you know, no education, you know, not enough, you know, no education, and this kind of like just always working, you know. Things back then, of course, were a lot more difficult or whatever. But it's just about like trying to, you know, stay alive and to have respect for yourself and things like that. So that's what The Greatest is about. And because I'm Southern, obviously I relate it to my history of my family, my upbringing, and the environments that I grew up around and stuff like that. But if I was from somewhere else, it might be the same exact song, but with like maybe different images that stand out, but probably not like the horses working all the time, and the boxer is an element of like, you know, strength, concentration, and setting a goal for yourself. The Greatest is an homage to humanity, I suppose. It's important, I think, to have a statement of intent.